welcome to How to Win the Lottery, Season 18, Sara Levine module, book number 1, Short Dark Oracles, by the aforementioned Sara Levine. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I am Shreds. You should leave that cough at the beginning in.
I don't know if it recorded or not.
Oh, okay. Because I want everything to sound like Steve Albini's recording of Pixies, where it's like you have all the talking and the ambient noise in the background before songs and stuff. We should try to make what we do here more like a Steve Albini production of a seminal indie rock band.
Well, we do have the equivalent of what Matt recently, when he mentioned he shared a Bob Dylan song and he spoiler texted just to not preemptively, change our mind about it. I don't know if you read it, but he said, I like this because there's dogs barking in the background.
Yeah. I love that songs.
But we have the equivalent of just cats on the other side of the door, just like howling to get out sometimes. So it's, we're pioneers.
That happens during a parent-teacher conference on Zoom the other day. My dog, he has it's like a soft esophagus thing going on with his throat, so he sometimes hacks up cough. And I'm trying to have this conversation. He's just like hacking in the background, and I had to be like, all right, I'm sorry, guys.
Shout out to the man, Truther. Love that dog.
It's the best.
So this is our first of 3 books in the Sara Levine module. We are talking to her at the end of the season. This is a collection of short stories. There are, I believe, about 10 short stories. 80 pages or so. Very short, very breezy. Enjoyable.
Has a title that you have difficulty saying out loud.
I said it right 1 of 1 so far. But yes.
Short Dark Oracles.
Short Dark Oracles. And the short stories are between 1 and 21 pages long. The longest one is the titular Short Dark Oracles. But I think the gist of our brief texting before is like every short story collection. Some are great, some are okay, some are sort of forgettable. But overall, there's stuff in here that I'm like, oh, right, I'm very much looking forward to Treasure Island because there's so funny asides and ways that she writes things. And I'm just like, yes.
Yeah, I think she does a great job of being very, very light and having a smart and witty take on situations that if you stripped away the lightness and the wittiness to it would be quite sad. Right.
But with some of these, I think that they're the one that I liked a lot, which was very short. The Good Woman sort of is like a Twilight Zone sort of thing where she keeps giving things away, or maybe not Twilight Zone, but maybe Twilight Zone. And then eventually when her husband complains enough, she gives him away too. And it's funny, it's charming, it's silly, but it's also that could be dark. It's kind of macabre, but also it's funny.
I like that story a lot too.
Yeah.
Sort of the joy of giving. It reminded me a lot of this Caesar Iros story, which was about a priest, which is kind of the opposite way. The Caesar Iros story is about a priest that comes into his, he starts living in the area that the priest lives in, the house that's provided. And he keeps getting all these funds from the church that come in. And instead of using them for church stuff in the community, he keeps on making his house nicer and nicer and then justifying it to himself by being this is not for me. This is actually for the next priest. So that when the next priest gets here, he will live in total comfort and be able to do his job with absolute certainty that he has no distractions of earthly things. And all those funds can then go into the community.
I respect it.
Yeah. So this is the opposite of that, where she just, she gives away a chair, but then the chair has it was the wobbly chair. So she feels guilty about giving away the wobbly chair. So she gives away a good chair.
And they have one chair.
Then they have one chair and they take turns sitting on the ground.
Yep.
Yeah. It's very funny.
It's very funny. We have a book about a priest coming up in the next module, which we recorded already because this came about sort of last minute, the Sara Levine thing, but stay tuned for Vestments if you want priest story.
Yeah, John Reiminger. Shout out
to a highlight of next season. But yeah, okay, so we have stories here. Do you want to go through one by one? You want to talk about because have we covered a short story collection for the podcast before?
We did for Chalosky.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you want to go through one by one? Do you want to just sort of do overall thoughts? How do you want to approach
Tell me
this?
what your favorite one was, and then I'll...
I liked a lot A Promise, which is the woman with the 2-year-old daughter that she's explaining things to.
Yeah.
I think that was very good.
Hey, let's talk about that one then. What do you want to say about that?
So that one...
Because that's also kind of Twilight Zone.
It is kind of. And I also thought that was written like a Chuck Palahniuk story in a little bit. Where it just felt different and supernatural and sort of matter of fact, where it it was a reality that is like our own, but also not like our own, where things were just sort of happening and unexplained. And I don't know. I don't think it was like what it was about, but the style of writing felt a little bit different to me and a little bit maybe punchier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking like good Pollock, not
Sure.
more modern day Pollock. Because what I also like about her stuff, which we have mentioned, I think, before on the podcast, like Amy Hempel, who I discovered through Chuck Palahniuk, is like, I love a short story like that. That's actually short. Like the 21 is not long, like the titular thing is, but like a 5-page story is like, this is perfect. Like,
Well,
just get in and out.
There was at some point, I want to say probably the 80s. It may have had something to do with people like Amy Hempel, and then people maybe also like Raymond Carver. But like there was a point when short stories shifted from being stories that were essentially had traditional arcs, and they were just a condensed version of that, where it went from point A, rising action, climax, falling action, etc., to a thing that built to a single punch and then a retreat from that, or that retreat doesn't even exist. It just, the story ends.
Yep.
Right. A complete focus on one moment, rather than developing an arc and developing characters and things like that. It might center around even a single word.
I mean, like the first story in this book is a page long, which is just like a woman's basically jealous of her boyfriend's ex-girlfriends. Like I don't, that's part of you that I don't know, that I can never know, essentially. And like that's it. Like it's just like a single feeling, kind of.
Yeah.
So, but I like a shorter story as opposed to a longer story. But
why do you think that is? Is it because it provides something different to you than a novel does? And what does it provide that's different?
I think it's also impressive. I think it's like if you can make somebody feel something in a page or 2 pages or 5 pages, that like, I'm not saying you're going to feel the same thing. You might, but like if you're able to feel something in a couple of pages that like is equivalent to a 300-page thing, it's like, well, why did I spend the time? I mean, you're going to get other things from a 300-page thing, but like if you can feel something after 4 pages, that is equivalent to like a mediocre, like a good story versus a mediocre novel. Like even if the payoff is like you get to the same ish place, it's like, well, that was more impressive.
It is a little bit how I feel about like, for example, Stephen Wright or Mitch Hedberg or even Anthony Jeselnik, or like the highlight of all of those guys is Jack Handy to me, who is, and that's writing, like even
fingers crossed for the Hawaii module,
like maybe even more than not more than other stand-up stuff, but like I think of like that stuff is so focused on the craft of a sentence, and there's almost like a metered delivery to
zero wasted words.
Yeah, that if you fuck up the rhythm, then it's done. Whereas you get the long form storytelling comedians who don't have to quite rely on meter and stuff so much for the punchiness of that joke.
They're different skill sets.
They for sure are. But I also feel like as comedy trends in and out of certain directions, you get way more of the long form storytelling comedians, or now unfortunately crowd work comedians.
Well, it depends on what you're doing, but yes.
Yeah.
But also there's like another, maybe not the long form or whatever, but it's like the one man show, like the things that go viral, like, oh my God, you need to see the special on Netflix or whatever. It's like, well, it's just like, that's like a play. It's not necessarily like stand up, even though it is funny. It's like, there's an hour long, as opposed to like a 5-minute chunk or whatever. It's like, this is a 60-minute.
Is that like did you see that Jacqueline Novak special?
I haven't watched stand up in a couple of years.
Oh, you got to watch that. It's really, really great.
I guess I'm talking about like was it Hannah Gadsby? Like those ones that people that are good. And I'm not saying they're not good, but it's just like, it's a different kind of thing that people go crazy about because like it's hard to do, but it's like, but it's an hour long, like one thing kind of. I also like to promise because it feels like she's like, how far can I push this? And like, I yelled at you in our text thread, like, stop talking about this, because you said that, like, I think the way you phrased it, like, it might not work at the end, but I feel like she is trying, like, maybe if I complain about death, we won't die.
Yeah. That is, I think, what's happening.
So it's not like it's a bad ending. It's just like, how far can I, like, I'm complaining about, like, having to pay to get to work. It's like, well, then the guy just stops.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm complaining about working. It's like, well, your boss says, like, you know, leave a little early or whatever.
She ends up getting paid for working 60 hours a week while only working until
like 8 to noon each day or whatever.
Yeah. And then she doesn't ever pay, and she comes home, and then eventually she has to explain death to her child, and the child is crying. And and I think the idea is that she can stop death from happening by complaining. Yeah.
I mean, that just also reminds me of like one of the best, if not the best, X-Files episode with Clyde Bruckman. And he goes to Scully, like, she's like, how do I die? He goes, you don't. And she's like, well, maybe not. Like, maybe she is immortal. Like, maybe that's like just like canonically maybe this woman made a promise and her 2-year-old daughter Thea, like, don't die.
Yeah. DPO is the best X-Files episode, but
You love it early. You love it early. For the Floor, which I know you want to talk about also, is that the same woman as from Must We Stoop for Violence in the Hedge?
I did not think that at all.
Because they talk about like losing a mother. My mother lost a breast and lost her hair. And like,
right. This didn't occur to me.
I don't know if it's the same character or if Sarah Levine is right. If that happened to her mom, I don't know. But like, maybe she's just drawing on that. But I was like, is this the same? Because like, there's no other connective tissue, I don't think. But.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of it. I guess my assumption is that there are storytelling things that we obsess over, and maybe that's one of the things for her that like sort of burrowed its way into her emotional DNA, and so it comes out in these stories.
Because I took each of these like on their own at face value, but that one, because I think a lot of the narrators are probably not even named in these. They're just like a woman or whatever, right? Or there's a guy named Alex, like whatever. But those are just like, oh, that's like a thing that links them, maybe. I don't know.
I also loved, I think it's called For the Floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great one.
A woman with a particularly bad boyfriend who's older than her and talks down to her and eventually ends it with her.
Whose name is blanked out. And similar to the ways that names will get blanked out in Victorian literature so as to preserve a non-fiction-y quality to it, as though you are not entering that person's actual name into the public record,
right?
But preserving them or trying to not get sued or something like that. But that one made me, that had by far my biggest laugh, where he was like, our lovemaking is not compatible or whatever. And she's like, what do you mean? And he says, when was the last time like I made you come? And she doesn't see that as a problem. And he's something like, he mentions that it was something that was a problem with his last girlfriend too.
But I'm not going through that again.
And then he's like, I'm not going through that again. And it's like, yeah, that's a you problem, man.
Yeah.
That's not the women.
That one, I laughed out loud at that one, where he said, she writes, from his backpack, he pulls Nightwood, the novel you gave him for Christmas, with the note that said, I read it every year and love it as much as the light. Gave it up by page 3, said, pretty turgid stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's such a dick move to be like, to get a gift and this person's like, this is my favorite thing. And he's like, it's not good.
It's also very older man-ish to do to someone. I mean, everything that guy does is older man, because he is like in a place where he like quote unquote knows better. And she is in a place where she feels as though she's letting his perspective overwhelm her own, so that when he likes things, she's just like, oh, he must be right and I must be wrong.
That's kind of Cholosky a little bit.
And so I also wrote to you that I thought that the best line in the book was about how the bath mat was the color of a headache.
Yep.
And that was written so like cleanly and beautifully. And it also expresses how much she doesn't like that bath mat, but also the bath mat stays. It's not like she gets rid of it or anything like that.
Well, because it's like a functionally useful thing, but it's just like,
yeah, and also it's
given to her with condescension.
Yeah,
yeah,
and she can't say we're going to throw out this bath mat doesn't work for me because it makes me sick. I have a shirt like that I wore yesterday, and I wore it to school yesterday, and it is kind of like butter colored. Mm-hmm. And it makes it, that color like kind of nauseates me. And when I bought the shirt in the store, I thought like the lighting was different, I guess.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just a white shirt. So I bought it and I brought it home. And yesterday I put it on and I looking in the mirror, I thought, this shirt makes me sick. And then I wore it to school, and all day I mentioned it to multiple students. I was like, is this shirt nauseating? Do you think this shirt's disgusting? And they were like, no, I like it. It's, cream colored.
I mean, at least as good as a shirt. Like when I bought a couch for my second apartment, I thought the couch was like a dark blue and it was brown, but like the lighting, like a couch is a very different thing than a shirt. It's like, oh, you can't just like return the couch. I mean, I guess you could return a couch, but like not because it's the wrong color.
I would never return a couch because it was the wrong color. I would just live with it.
Yeah, I did. That was pre-Margaret. That was before I actually cared about before there's someone who lived here who cared about like how things looked and worked together.
Yeah.
It was more functional.
Right.
But brown couch, gone. We got rid of it.
So I like that story a lot.
I also like Baby Love a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Where a woman has a baby and that becomes her defining trait. Then it becomes a big question, like, I had a baby? ?
Yeah.
It also had a note where she talks about a traffic light turning orange. And I was like, interesting. Not yellow, but orange.
Maybe she's Actually, this is a part of the conversation that I had in class yesterday about my shirt too, because another student was like, we were talking about how this is in between bells.
I'm so excited to have a sentence in the description for this episode. Shreds talks about his shirt.
So my student was talking about how her dad was colorblind, and he's like, I guess, red-green colorblind,
okay,
which is a thing that happens.
Yep.
And so then we started talking about how, like, the reason traffic lights are shaped the way that they are is so that you can always just go by, if you're red-green colorblind, you can go by like the position of the light.
Sideways?
Yeah, that doesn't happen though.
Sometimes they're left and right.
I don't think so. Are they? Mm-hmm. Well, then it would be the one on the furthest right is the.
I guess so.
Society we've wallpapered over
right
this so that people who are red-green colorblind can drive. And my one student was just like, that would be so impossible. I would never be able to figure that out. And I had to just be like, it's not that hard. You would figure it out in like 10 seconds, especially if you never knew anything else. And he was just like, no.
It feels like that student has zero empathy. Like, just in terms of like, I couldn't possibly imagine what it's like. It's like, what?
Yeah, welcome to every single student that I have for the most part. All right, moving on. We're not going to talk about them anymore.
I like in this one, story called
the
Baby
one?
Love.
Yeah.
Why'd you have to have a baby? Denny wants to know. There are so many babies on this block already. The neighborhood's really changing. First the Starbucks, then we got a Gap. It's so funny. Like, that's such a funny aside.
Well, I also liked, because I think everyone around our age within 10 years of me has like lives through a period where everyone they know has babies.
Yep.
And so that part where
we're currently in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of. We're a little bit like
on the tail end of it.
Yeah. Most of those kids are like 5 now, I think, for me.
I guess so. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, there was a period when it was like, oh, everybody has a new baby. It's like a little exaggerated, but there's a part where she goes over like all the new people that she knows that have recently had babies, and it's like overwhelming.
Well, I think it's also, and it's mentioned to the character in the story, like, oh, like you did this other thing, like you became, I don't remember what a reference was, but like you did this before when you became like solely focused on one thing. Now you're focused on babies, so like everyone around you notice that they have a baby. But like if you don't have baby brain, you'd be like, oh, there's
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
It's human.
Yeah. But also there is this thing that it might be kind of misogynist that we like, I think we think of women societally like of being baby obsessed in exactly this way.
Yeah.
In a way that's like pejorative, but in reality it's like, of course you should be baby obsessed. Like if you have a baby, like you should be obsessed with that baby. You have to be obsessed with that baby.
Focus, yeah.
Yeah, it is the world and it is everything. And
yeah.
to just, and like for people that really want that and focus on that as a goal, it's this weird thing where it's like society has always put a lot of pressure on women to have babies, but then also if they're like love babies, we kind of make fun of them a little bit, which is, that's, I think, maybe the double-edged sword of just womanhood.
Yeah. Being a woman.
Yeah.
I like Little Gray Dog. There's not much to say about it, but a woman befriends a dog she met at a party, and the dog's like, you want to see my chapbook? It's like, what? But I like that it's like, it feels like the crazy extension of like, I don't fit at this party, but there's a dog. I'm gonna hang out with the dog. But the dog's like also like, yeah, they're poets, but like I have a chapbook. You wanna write about that?
Yeah, the dog has been the rescue of me at many parties where you can just, if you're a dog person and you're not like that good at talking to people, you can just talk to the dog the whole night.
And then other people who are also not good at talking to people will come over to the dog and just like you can sit there together in silence and
pet the dog, look at the dog,
talk about the dog.
Yeah, babies kind of work the same way actually.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Following 15 things, the last one, which is like 15 paragraphs, basically. Like I couldn't really get a sense of like why they were different things, but woman's having an affair with a man named Jack, hires a personal assistant, Burger, to help her end it. Instead, at the end, she fires Burger and stays with Jack. Is Burger a dog?
I don't think so.
At one point, he is described as like dog-esque or maybe like stallion-esque or something. Or maybe it's just the way that he walks. But I'm just like, it'd be weird.
Was your version of this illustrated?
Mine was not.
Because on Goodreads it says illustrator and then there's someone else credited.
Maybe that's the cover?
It might just be the cover. But
there's not to brag, but we got this version from Sarah. So,
but there is also a there is a kinship, I think, between Sara Levine and Lisa Hanawalt.
Sure.
That like I was thinking, oh, it would be great if Lisa would animate this book or adapt it or do a comic of some.
Because a lot of these,
stories.
like, you could imagine instead of like a woman with a baby, it's just like a bird and a baby bird. Or something.
Yeah. And there's something very the sense of humor. I think goes together pretty well.
Yeah, like it's a surreal, like it's a grounded reality within a surreal world, maybe.
Yeah, and I think Sara Levine and Lisa Hanawalt, they're both clearly animal lovers.
Yep. Anything else to say about the long story at the end? It's not really that long.
No, it's pretty sure it's no more than 15 pages, and each of those pages is like,
a third of a page.
Yeah,
or
a third of
like
a page.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if that's like a way to like pad up the runtime.
I thought like when writing longer things for like my thesis, for example, in grad school, there was definitely things where I was like, well, let's add a couple words to this paragraph so that it can go an extra line so that we can have an extra page.
Yeah.
It'll bleed onto the extra page, and then then we can make a new chapter, and we'd have all this blank space at the end of the chapter, so it ends up being, an extra page or two by the end of the book, which is like such a fucked way to think of writing.
Which is also like the opposite of like whenever we're like doing a thing for work, like writing a proposal, I'm like, how do we get this onto one page? Like, how do we not have like one overhanging word?
Yeah, but I was trying to, meet length requirements. Not length requirements, but length expectations, I guess.
Sure. Story of your life.
Story of My Life by Jay McInerney.
Back to the beginning, Oracle. Guy feels he has psychic powers as he remembers a past girlfriend who then calls him the next day, but his girlfriend is jealous of his past. I was just thinking about her.
It's funny to think of that as psychic powers, because I think everyone does think of that as psychic powers, or they think it's like, oh, it's a little witchy or a little deja vu-y for me to think of this person and have them call me. That's purely a brain phenomenon where you don't think of all the times that doesn't happen.
You probably thought of 20 people yesterday and one of those 20, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or like yesterday you thought of 200 people and none of them called you.
Well, it's like Joe mentions that a lot on Too Fast. It's like, bro, like we talked about this, I never thought, and then like I see it all, I'm like, no, you were seeing it all over before. It's just that you didn't know what it was, and it didn't like when Heated Rivalry came out, I'm sure that I saw like 10 headlines about it, and then as soon as like I had a conversation with somebody about it, then I saw it everywhere. Like once I knew like what it was, but like whenever there's a thing that's everywhere, it's like until you have an association with a thing, like you don't remember or whatever. That's just the most recent example to me. A show that I've not seen in books that I have not read. Yeah. But
we should read those books.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, we shouldn't read those books.
No. Get a whole new audience of people.
There's probably a bunch of Heated Rivalry podcasts already.
Probably. Well, there's definitely one that like pivoted to be that, and then they like caught some flack for I don't know. Who knows?
There was this like one of my all-time favorite podcasts is by this guy who his Twitter was BN2B. His name was Andrew Smales. And it was BN2B, Be Nice to Bears. And he created these podcasts that were essentially pranks. And his one podcast was called Serial Theories and Spoilers, like the Serial Theories and Spoilers podcast. And sometimes it would be him talking about cereal. And then sometimes it would be him talking about like how there was a raccoon in his basement that he was having a tough time. And then all of the comments on Apple would be so angry at him, like just yelling at him about how like there were no theories or spoilers in this. And then he also made another one that was the official Eminem podcast where he like pretend to be Eminem, but he was just a guy, and he would get on there and be like, hey everybody, it's me, Marshall Mathers, blah, blah, blah. And he put this song on that he claimed was the new Eminem song. And it was a song called Dracula's Yacht. And all I remember were the lyrics to Dracula's Yacht or something like, don't get caught on Dracula's yacht. He wants to drink your blood a lot. And I think I want to say like Eminem's people must have made him take it down or something like that. But it was so for like the very niche audience. There was probably like 24 people listening to this podcast. It was so funny.
Well, it reminds me of, and I think both of these is just like people online can be too serious, but like when Scott Aukerman and Harris Whittles had the Analyze Fish podcast, we were going through the discography of Fish, and then they wound up going to a concert at the end. But in the middle, there was a 2-episode break for Analyze Fish, FISH, where Paul F. Tompkins and Howard Kramer and Shelby Farrow talked about the movie Jaws.
Yeah.
And then, because Shelby had never seen it, and then they watched it, and then the second episode of talking about the movie, and people were like, this isn't my band, Fish. It's like, then don't listen to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
The fish people got crazy. And the fish people were also really, really mean to Harris Whittles about that podcast because they thought that he was fucking up. Like they thought he was making all the wrong recommendations and were super like...
And then he died.
Like if you look on Reddit, there will still be like all these things of people, fish fans yelling at him and stuff.
I just can't imagine, like, that's why I never want this. I mean, we do have 30,000 downloads an episode, which is great. And I appreciate how
pays the bills,
this is.
baby.
But I don't want like the success because like every time, you know, like Tatiana Maslany is on Comedy Bang Bang or whatever, Scott talks to her about like, I still get comments from the last time. Like people just can't let things go.
Yeah.
And it just seems like whenever you put something out into the world that is like so widely consumed, and like your job, like it's not like you have a marketing team where you don't have to go on Instagram yourself. Like you're the one going on there.
Even just people emailing to be like, fuck you, you don't understand Infinite Jest. I was kind of like, I don't like that.
Yeah. I'm just one guy. And look, if we're going to get a hate for a book, it's going to be Jest, right? So
yeah.
Nice.
That's my natty ice.
Must we stoop for violets in the hedge? Which feels, I don't know how to say this, but it feels like maybe the thing she's like trying for metaphor the most with, maybe, where a girl hates her new haircut and it causes her to reflect back on her mother having breast cancer, losing her hair to chemo, and the company vanity or lack thereof of her mother wearing wigs and or capes.
That's your note on it that you wrote?
Yeah, all these summaries are things that I wrote down just to remember what they are. But like, it felt like she was doing more than just like a funny aside or like a relationship thing. It's like,
I think she's always doing more than a funny
I agree. But I mean, like, I think this is one where she's like, it feels more serious. Maybe it's just about cancer or whatever. But like, man, this haircut sucks. But like, it's better than my mom who lost her hair.
Well, I think it's very indicative of the way that brains work post grief or during grief, which is that you recontextualize basically everything to like essentially reroute yourself in the direction of the person that you're grieving.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, new haircut. What could that remind me of? Oh, it can remind me of the chemo and these outfits and all this stuff.
But it's also like, you know, I know that it's probably true of any kind of relationship where it's not always just good things, but it seems like her mom is mean. Like on the top of my right hand, there's a burn mark, which has regularly prompted my mother to say, no one will want to hold that hand.
Yeah. Parents are mean, man.
Yeah.
What can you say?
I began to feel discouraged. It dawned on me that I was inescapably a trivial and impenetrable person. Naturally, I blame my parents for not raising me to be deeper.
Yeah, it's funny.
And I think my favorite line in the entire book is in this one. Returning to the table, I smiled at anyone who accidentally looked my way. I smiled at the waiter so often I confused him. Which is,
yeah, that's great.
It's so specific and just like, yeah, like, do you need help? Like, what do you?
But it's also indicative. Like I've come across those people a million times in my life. The people that are, you know, they smile out of discomfort.
Yeah.
And you want to ask them what's up. You want to be like, hey, why are you looking at me like that? Why are you smiling?
It's in Marty Supreme where like they're telling stories about the Holocaust and like Timothy Chalamet's character, like Marty laughs. He's like, why are you laughing? He's just like, sorry, I'm nervous. Like I just laugh when I'm nervous. It's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. The fainting couch. A woman or maybe three women talk about fainting. There's like three sort of mini stories.
Yeah.
One is a woman exhausted of motherhood. The second one, maybe the same woman, is a story of a woman obsessed with her own death and wanting to be placed on the fainting couch. Mm-hmm. And the third is a woman, which I thought was kind of funny, where she falls to the ground after another woman falls, and no one cares that she fell on the ground too, because they're concerned about the first woman.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah. Anything about that one or no?
No, not really. I mean, some of these, I think there's more depth to some of these stories than others. I like the entirety of it. It made me laugh. I have a much harder time connecting to or remembering short stories than novels.
Well, do you remember the longest one? The only one we've not talked about yet is short.
Ha! He did it.
So close.
We got him.
Short Dark
Annie
Oracles.
Potts hitting the buzzer in Ghostbusters.
Where this guy named Alex is wrongly fired at his job for taking the rap for people sleeping and peeing on the roof. Mm-hmm. And he goes to an oracle who only tells him about love. And he has a strange run with Amelia, who brings it back to her place, takes money from him for touching her leg, but then tells everybody that they had like wild kinky sex.
Yeah.
And then her fiance and Alex masturbate together a lot.
Yeah.
And then they wind up going to the oracle gives him money because she bought a scratch off ticket with his money and won money and they gave it to him. And then he goes to their wedding.
A lot of cash at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the horniest story probably.
Yeah, mutual masturbation like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. I love that term.
Mutual masturbation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then also, yeah, I don't know that this one needed to be 21 pages. Like, I don't know that like this was the most.
You're saying it felt long?
Well, of the stories, like this did not grab my attention the way that other ones did. But also, what I maybe liked about those, like I was saying before, is that like they were shorter.
Yeah. One thing about this story that I thought a lot while reading it was that I really had no idea what was like what the path was that it was on.
This story in particular?
Yeah, like on a page by page basis. I was like, I don't know where these characters are headed. I don't know what they're.
Well, it feels almost like I'm sure there's a better movie to compare this to, but like it feels like After Hours, where like everyone you meet is just fucking insane.
Yeah.
And it's like there's the Oracle who's just like in a cave, and it's just a guy who's like,
but that's expressionist, right? Like in After Hours and this stuff. Anytime that there's a character and then everyone that they meet is insane, you're really only viewing that world through that character's point of view, and their expression of everyone else as insane is indicative of their not being able to process reality,
right?
In a real way. It's not like Griffin Dunn is actually meeting all these. It's that Griffin Dunn doesn't know how to be a human being, and so his whole night is fucked up because he can't be normal.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, yes, I agree. But also, like in here, like I don't know, like where Alex gets fired because like the bosses know that people are sleeping and peeing on the roof, and even though they know that it's not Alex, they just need the fall guy. And it feels, to the conversation we were having yesterday via text, like it feels kind of Kafka-esque, or like Brazil, where it's just like you're wrongly accused and whatever.
Yeah.
But then it all just like everyone you run, like I don't know if this is like the character Alex inability to be human, but it feels like I'm getting like weird stuff is happening. But
you ever been to a psychic or oracle or whatever?
No. There's one in town. Open at night.
Do they ever talk about anything other than love lives?
I don't think so.
I guess sometimes they're like, your grandma's trying to talk to you and she says you're gay or something like that.
I mean, I think the point of them is like to give you comfort, right? Or whatever. And so they're always
I don't know. Is that the point?
I think so. I think like they stick to like the big things because it's like, have you lost someone recently? Like everybody's lost somebody recently.
Yeah. Those guys, they're like crossing over guys.
Yeah.
Like those are the biggest scumbags in the world. They're awful. They're like exploiting people who are grieving. But anyone that just is like, your neon handprint sign that wants to like say you're going to meet the love of your life at yoga, that's like just in good fun, I think. That's totally fun.
I mean, I want to go to, but I'm also like, what if I get bad news?
I feel like Margaret would like that. Is she like, not in like, I don't actually think that she would believe it, but I feel like aesthetically she would be into tarot cards and things like that.
Mm-mm.
That's not accurate?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I think she might be scared of them actually.
She, like you, was raised with a bit of the old religion.
Yeah.
And that tends to like push you away from Ouija boards.
Some weird stuff going on over there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't want to, invoke the Prince of Flesh and have him flay you.
No. And that's all the stories in the book.
Okay. What
overall thumbs up?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, yeah. The thing is, I gave this 3 stars on Goodreads, and then I felt weird about giving it 3 stars on Goodreads, but
Goodreads needs a half star, man.
It's also my personal, whatever my personal canon is, like a 5-star novel.
Right.
And I can't put a short, like especially such a slight short story collection.
But also like the way that I have rated far more movies than books, but I think about like not all 5-star movies are the same. Like a 5-star action movie or 5-star like superhero movie or whatever, like is The Dark Knight and The Godfather equal? Like, no, they're not, but they're both, in terms of what they're doing, they're both good.
Right. Is Apocalypse Now and Nirvana the band, the show, the movie of equal artistic weight?
Honestly, maybe yes, a little bit. My entire Instagram algorithm is just Matt Johnson now.
Dude, he's so... Did you see the video of him where he was talking about when he was a kid and he was like, said to his mom, like, am I handsome? And she just says, honestly, no.
Yeah.
But you're interesting looking.
Oh yeah, you told me that. Yeah, it was very funny.
Dude, he's so talented and so funny and such a natural actor.
And you also sent me the one with Stavi's, like, where he said, the first time I saw you, I was like, I thought you were going to be fatter, like that one.
Yeah.
But like in interviews, like he's like a ripped dude. Like he's like a big, like in the movie, kind of looks like schlubby. And like I don't think that's by design, or maybe it is. I don't know.
I think he's schlubby. He's got the ripped jeans and he wears the headband and that stupid hat. And like I think he's doing a look.
But I just keep getting served like he's on Blank Check this week. He's on the rewatchables or
because
whatever.
I think the world has caught up with him.
Yeah.
In a way that it took a while because he's been like I've been talking about that guy since the Dirties, right?
Right.
But he's just now entered like.
Well, it feels like this movie where people are just like, we need to share him with the world.
Yeah. It's also really, I think, an algorithm friendly time in a way that when the Dirties was out, you wouldn't have gotten fed all of this stuff via Instagram or whatever.
Right.
So I think it's good for that.
And I wrongly lumped in, which I still have not seen, but I hope I'll get the Blu-ray in the next week or two whenever Vinegar Syndrome ships it. But like Blackberry came out at a time where like everyone was making those movies. I'm like, I don't need to see another one of these.
Yeah, yeah. And it's way different and way funnier. And yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. Anything else to say though about short, dark oracles?
Let's bring in the Eggster and we'll see what she has to say, and that'll prompt some things, I think.
Meg's reaction to short, dark oracles. Very short email. I'm never quite sure on what to say about short stories, but I like this collection a lot. My favorite story was The Promise. That's the 2-year-old baby.
Yeah.
Levine did a great job of juxtaposing the character's emotional state with the emotion evoked in the reader. All in all, a good appetizer to the rest of the Sarah Levine module, and I'm excited to read her other work.
I think that's what we have to think of the short story collection as an appetizer.
I just wish there was like more of a course. Like we have 2 books left, one that I love and one that I haven't seen. You know what I mean? Like I think it's exciting. Like I want to read The Hitch and I really want to reread Treasure Island, but like imagine if there was like 6 books.
You always want more. I think there was a question that Tao Lin asked one time.
I just talked about how much I love short stories.
There's a question that Tao Lin asked one time that I thought was really good, which was if you could have 10 more books, and you could give them to any author.
Yeah.
Like not like 10 more books by an author, but you could have like 1 more book by
Hemingway.
Yeah. And like 2 more books by Alice Munro and 1 more book.
Sure.
Like I think that's a really interesting question. Or you could get 10 more books by David Foster Wallace and just have like an entire huge collection of his by the end. Like I think that's a really interesting question. But I bring that up to say that I would love to have. I wish there were 40 Sarah Levine books.
I think this brings up another thing that I was just talking about because Joe and I recorded a bonus episode of Too Fast today about Rebel Without a Cause. It's good, and James Dean's good in it, but I'm like, I think part of it is because there's only 3 of his movies. Like, if there were 40 James Dean movies, like, he wouldn't have the appeal unless like they were all like crazy intense or something.
Well, yeah.
I think there's something like to the limited quantity that like makes people cling to it more.
I don't think of him as that different. I think there's some of his stuff in those movies that are really bad. Like I think he's a very bad actor about half the time. And I think we have 40 Marlon Brando movies.
Well, that's what we compared them to that as well. Yeah.
So it's not that different. I think Brando's a better actor.
Because we were like, because there's always like, oh, could you imagine what his career had been? I'm like, I saw 40 or 30 Elvis Presley movies. And I know it's a different thing where he came from being a singer to an actor, but it's like he was in 1 great movie and in a lot of bad movies. Like if James Dean made like a bunch of things, or Joe said if he got fat and racist, I'm like Marlon Brando. Like that's like what happened. Like,
yeah, or you know who's the exact same age as James Dean is Robert Duvall, who just died. And Robert Duvall, I think, is a much better actor than James Dean was. I mean, again, James Dean only had 3 movies, but there's stuff in the beginning of
well, they all came out in the same year. I've only seen this one, but Rebel Without a Cause is like I was expecting it to be like transcendent. I was just like, this is kind of a weird movie.
Does Rebel Without a Cause start with him like being drunk with the fucking monkey?
Yeah, do you know the story of that? Like why that's there?
No.
In the original script, and this is crazy, I don't know why this is the thing. The original script had a man buying Christmas presents, walking home from the store, getting mugged, dropping that, and then James Dean stumbling on later and playing with it. But that's all cut out. So people were like, oh, like this is weird. This is an improvisational thing. It's like, no, there was like a bit before, but it just got cut.
But the part where he's like, I guess in the police station, and he's like, you don't understand me. Like that stuff is terrible.
You're tearing me apart.
Like he's not a good actor. Like those scenes are awful.
Well, that's also, it's funny then, and we talked about this because Joe loves The Room, where like the You're Tearing Me Apart, Lisa, that Tell Me Why So does is like ripped from this. And like they're both like very over the top, overly emotional, like not actual based in reality.
Yeah. But I think James Dean had this like he has a face that's very expressive,
Yeah.
and you can project onto it things like grief, and
Which is
things
also
that.
like the Marlon Brando thing is like the opposite of like where he like specifically like did not do things. And like there's
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Nerd Writer or there's like I've watched a couple like over the last year, like just people have made video essays about him and like how he changed acting by basically not emoting and just like acting like a human. People are like, you can do that?
Yeah.
Like, you can actually like be normal on screen and like it comes across well. It's
Well,
like,
because he is I think he's obviously not the first generation of screen actors, but he is maybe the first generation of people that recognized how different screen acting was from theater acting,
Right.
and that you could be much more subtle.
well, there's one story, I think it was maybe Stella Adler, like he was in one of her classes and she's like, I want you all to act like you're a chicken. There's a atomic bomb goes off. And like everyone starts freaking out. He's just like packing around. She's like, why'd you do that? He's like, I'm a chicken. What the fuck do I know about an atom bomb? She's like, exactly. She's like, oh my God. But like all the theater actors are like, oh no, it's the end of the world and I'm a chicken. I'm flapping my wings. It's like, they're all dumb birds, you know?
Yeah.
So whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have one comment on YouTube too.
All right.
Underworld by Don DeLillo.
Oh shit. This is going to be someone mad at us.
No. Either channel says, this is the only book when I turn back to page 1 after I finished it. I don't think people get mad at us for DeLillo. Like, we are reverential of DeLillo.
Yeah. But there's always with big books, there's always the risk of people just being like, you didn't get it.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah.
Have you ever, we've probably talked about this before, what books have you ever finished and come back to read page 1?
On the same day?
I mean, I started, when we read the instructions, I started that the next day. I would count that.
I don't know that I ever have.
Have you done it with movies?
Yeah. In weird circumstances though.
So not by design, you mean?
I don't know. I watched Art School Confidential, I think 3 times in a row, but like in a weird thing where I was like in a room with people and everyone was super high.
Oh, well, like also like Kristen like would love like repeated viewing.
Oh,
of the
well,
same thing, right?
but not in she'll watch Drowning by Numbers 6 days in a row. And
But
then
not
just-
like 6 times in a row.
Yeah. And just be like, oh, I watched this again last night. And it's like, okay, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, in college, I watched Usual Suspects twice in a row because I'm like, bro, this is below my fucking mind because I'm like 18 and, you know, whatever. And I watched Primer 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
But it's also like an hour long and like it's not.
Yeah. I think it also helps to be intoxicated in some way.
Or just young with lots of time.
And I watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I think 4 times in 3 days because
Oh, recently, right? Or no?
a couple years. It was at least 5 years ago because I was still teaching college, but it was for class because I was teaching the tripartite classification of authority, and so I watched it on my own to take notes. Then I watched in each of the classes that I was teaching.
We'll just keep reading, keep rereading.
Yeah, today's crime is gosh. Let's just say hostile architecture is today's crime.
Theme song.